Okay, I was in the middle of making this, and I accidentally spilled coffee all over my desk and everything that I own. So, I was annoying. Anyway, I accidentally made this part wrong. I misread this 1.5 as 1.75, or just put 1.75 on accident. So I'm going to remake it. Okay, largest dimensions. 3 inches by 2 inches. It's rectangularly shaped. It's got 2 top chamfers, 1 rectangle cut, and an internal circle cut. So let's start the rectangle. Let's get our center rectangle. Let's go on our front plane, get our origin. Make sure we're in inches. Double click. 2 inch by 3 inch. Okay. Now, let's start with the chamfers. They're dimensioned relative to each other. This one's more dimensioned. We could start there. So it's 1.5 inches up. It's 1 inch from the other chamfer, and it's 0.75. So let's throw down 2 chamfer lines. And it is 1.5 inches from the bottom line, not 1.75. These vertices are 1 inch apart. And the entire length, horizontal length, of this chamfer is 0.75 inch. Okay. And this chamfer is 1.25 inches from the bottom. So there's our chamfers. Now we have a rectangle cut. It's 0.75 inches by 0.5 inches, and it's 0.25 inches from the bottom line. So go in here and grab our corner rectangle. Let's put it in there. Let's dimension it relative to the rest of the drawing. 0.25 inches from the bottom line. It was 0.75 inches. Well, no. It's 0.75 inches in width. 0.5 inches in height. Okay, now we can go trim. So let's trim out that rectangle cut. Let's trim out, let's trim out our chamfers and all the construction lines too. That looks clean. Now let's add a circle and let's dimension it. It's 1 inch from the horizontal, 1 inch from the bottom, and it is also 1 inch in diameter. Okay, now we could just go and clean up these dimensions a little. Put this here, and put this here. Okay, that looks good. Let's double check. So 1.25, 0.25, 0.75. Just make sure this dimension is in there. It's 3 inch dimension. You can also just make sure that these are equal. Actually, we don't need that because this line cuts it. 1 inch, 0.75 to 1.9. So let's throw that down too. Just make sure that's kept defined. Because after we cut the chamfer off, I believe that dimension got cut because I dimensioned it relative to a vertex. Okay, I think that's it. So we can fully define it and see if we made some over definitions. It looks like we did. Let me do it one more time. Sorry, I didn't see which ones it was saying. Oh no, it's good. We're good. Okay. So then we can go ahead and extrude it. And it's extruded 0.25 of an inch. Just make sure the circle is not. So you can click on the circle, it'll extrude the circle. You can shift click on this to go back. So I don't know what it is doing. 0.25 inch. Cool. That's it. So that's that part done correctly this time. And now we can do the second part. So, second part, 2 through 3, 2. It's also a rectangle. Largest dimensions are 9 inch. I think it's 9 by 6.5 inch. It might be 8, just because this is a little long. Because, I don't know, let's just start it. Okay. Center rectangle, 9 inches. Go with 8 inches. I think it was, and 6.5. 6.5. Okay, so we have a square cut here. It's 2.5 inches. We have a top chamfer here that's defined by distances from these two lines, and 2 internal circle cuts. So let's start with the chamfer. 6.5 inches from the left horizontal, 5.5 inches from the bottom. So let's throw that chamfer in there, and let's dimension it. So this is 6.5 inches. This is 5 inches, or was it 5.5? 5.5. Okay. So that's that. And then we also had a, let's get our corner rectangle because we're going to make a square cut down here. And it is going to be 2.5 inches. And it's a square, so make sure these are equal. Okay. That looks too big. Oh, it is equal. Okay. Trim that out too. That looks right. I think if we did 9 inches, it would be wrong. Yeah, see, look, that moves over. So this ends pretty much in the center. That's how I determined that it's 8. It's definitely 8. Because I can't read the number. I don't know. Sometimes that happens. A lot of sketches. Could also be my print screen. But even on the original PDF, that one's blurry. Okay, so 2 center, or internal circles, which are 1.5 and 2.5 respectively in diameter. Inches. Okay. The bottom one is 3 inches up, 2.5 inches over. So let's throw those dimensions in there. Okay. And then the top one is 1.5 inch up, 5 inches from the left horizontal or vertical line. And it was 1.5 inches. Okay. Okay. That was not defined in this, that was the other sketch. Okay, let's just clean it up, and then we can go in and make sure that everything will be fully defined. I really should not use these construction lines in my rectangles for these sketches anyway. Okay. So, what dimension could we be missing? 6.5, 5, 1.9. None. We're good. Okay. Fully defined. Calculate. For some reason, we don't need one of these. Okay. I'm not sure why we wouldn't need one. I can't figure out why. It seems like we definitely need both, but let's see what it does. Okay. So it just defined this length was over-defined technically because you could already define the center point of the circle relative to the origin and relative to the top line. Okay, so that's defined. You can also define the center point of the origin to the center point of the square. And from the center point of the square, you can define the center point, or just the bottom line center point. So this dimension, and we have that dimension, and then we have that dimension, and that dimension. So I guess that's why it was over-defined. And why the computer replaced the dimensions. So we're good. Now we can extrude our sketch. And it's extruded 0.5 of an inch. There you go. Looks right to me. All right, cool. Thanks.